And we're live, and this is an epic moment in rap rock history because it's I've got me here. I'm more of a metal rock guy, and we've got MC Emkew, is it? Who is more of a rap guy?
That's right, man. Yeah, we're not too different, you and I. I actually grew up on metal, and that was my jam growing up, and slowly kind of slid into the world of rap and hip hop instead.
Really? So what metal acts were you more into back in the day?
Man, so my first love really actually started with Linkin Park, which I know is a bit of a far cry from what we'd call metal, but it just kind of helped me go, oh, right, I like playing guitar. You can play guitar like this. And then obviously it peppered into that were the sort of foundations for rap and when that Collision Course album came out with Jay-Z, that kind of helped reshape my worldview. But there were definitely a couple of years I was obsessed with like your System of a Down, Trivium, Children of Bodom as well. I got
Oh
really
yeah,
into. Like who are you really about, man?
Metallica are a big one for me. Still a big fan of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've sort of gotten more into like the progressive metal side of things. So going back more to like the rock era, really like Rush. But then there's
Mm-hmm.
been bands like Haken, really like Steven Wilson, Opeth, anyone that does like those really long technical songs. Another one that
Sure.
I'm big into at the moment is I bought the guitar books for the band Protest the Hero for their two most recent releases, and yeah, I just sit
Mm-hmm.
down and try and work through those, and one day I'll play them at speed, but it's good to have something to work towards. Oh,
Things. Bear with me just a moment.
no, that's all
Can you hear
right.
me all right?
Yeah, I can now. It seems like I heard myself for a little
Perfect.
bit, and there may have been a bit of a
Um,
bit of
Disconnect and reconnect. I'll be
you're coming through
momentarily a
now.
second.
All right, now, and I'm sharing my screen with you here that I've got MPC beats up, and I was
Hey,
thinking that
hey, mate. Can you hear me?
yeah, you're just going a bit garbled again like before.
Oh, yikes. All right, cool. Quick restart. I'm sorry, man.
No, no,
What
that's all
the
right.
culprit is. So
But we
cool.
will we can work through these templates here. When you're good to go again, that we're gonna decide on one of these ones, and I'm gonna live here on stream whilst we're talking. I'm gonna write
Sweet.
MC MQ's next big hit. So looks like he's coming back on now. And
Tremendous.
all right, now
How's
you
that for you, Tom?
yep, that's all good, sounding a lot better. And now
Beautiful.
you can see that I'm sharing my screen to you as well, aren't I? So
That's right.
we've got the project templates here. So now, are you more of an R&B guy, a trap guy, hip hopper, yeah, house? Which of these templates do you reckon reflects you a bit more?
See, I'd lean towards anything that talks about sort of 90s hip hop or that, yeah, boom bap. If the words boom bap appear, sorry, it's just a touch, um, pixelated on my end here. I think I've just got a real shonky connection today.
And that is also partially me just saving on bandwidth, but
Yeah,
I can bump it up for you a little bit more.
appreciate
So
that.
that's there we go. Yeah, so we'll go hip hop then.
There we
It's
go.
not
Let's
quite
go hip hop.
not quite boom bap, but it'll
hmm
give us a bit of something. So
Yep.
whilst I figure out a bit of this, what's your usual process for songwriting?
Yeah, so it's a bit of everything. I think I had to make the decision pretty early on that I wasn't going to be a star producer and songwriter. I very much enjoy playing with words. I very much enjoy just kind of free flowing in a lot of ways when it comes to songwriting. And there's sort of I watched people make good beats. Like I can sit there and smash something out on a little MIDI pad or something like that and have a basic 4/4. But yeah, when I watch people make good beats, I went, that is a whole other skill tree that I'm not ready to unlock in myself. So for me, I'll 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 I like receiving beats from people and then seeing what it stirs up in me. So this is actually perfect. Is seeing it kind of coming up from scratch. It starts to put me in a direction mentally, and then usually I'll start with just like a single line or something that fits for a sense of flow, and that sometimes will dictate the whole theme of the song, but generally will just be to kind of lay down a vibe or a feel. And that's if it's sort of creation for creation's sake.
All right.
But yeah, what about you for yourself? So you said you're getting into production and trying to kind of make
Yeah.
some new styles. How does that look for you?
My biggest problem is I'm still in the stage where I need to get my head around the software a little bit more. That I've been playing guitar for ages. I know all stuff about scales, chords, progressions, and everything. But it's more just a matter of getting that and executing what I imagine in the program that I'm using, and that's something that just requires time that I need to put into it. So I've been doing a lot of coming up with parts, and I'll come up with riffs in that very Tony Iommi way of just coming up with things and then just structuring them together to make a song. But yeah, a big part of why I've been investing a lot more in some programs and VSTs and everything is to try and push through and get some of that just get some of that inspiration and actually put something down.
Wicked, man. Yeah, good on you. Because that was it. Is I just went, right. There's this whole extra world within this. It's actually interesting because then what that did do for me was the limitation of I can't produce my own beats. I can't find the sounds for myself that I would like to write to or something. Kind of led me to branch out and seek out other producers, other performers. How do you do it? What's your process? And I guess, while we're here, it's definitely worth mentioning in the last year, I've gotten connected up with a bunch of artists and we kind of founded this collective at the start of the year called Vibe Union. And the very premise of that is here are a bunch of talented individuals with each with their like independent skill sets. Some of them are really broad, some of them are really deep, and some of them are both. I'm definitely like more on the broad side of things. But what we do is we kind of overlap each other's weaknesses. So we've got some incredible producers in our stable, and they'll be sort of throwing beats into our internal Discord. And you know, of a day, I'll wake up in a mood and just go, I wonder if there's something like real angry and fuck the system and that kind of vibe in our little beats folder. And sure enough, there's something in there by Wrath or Dilly Dave. And I'll just start penning whatever I woke up with in my head. And before we know it, we've got 8, 16 bars. I'll throw a demo out to the guys, and someone else will jump on and go, "Oh, that's really cool. That makes me think of this." So I think for me, my process has evolved now to accept that I have limitations, and then when I meet them, that's not an obstacle. That's just that's an opportunity to seek out collaboration instead.
And that's actually really, really good and very, very self-aware approach that a lot of bands and a lot of projects fall to pieces because people either can't do certain things or they're unwilling to, but they don't want to let go of that role. So
Yeah,
it's very,
yeah.
very grown of you to be able to admit that. Now I've
I'm a big boy now.
no, that's good. Now I've
I
noticed that
appreciate it.
this plugin isn't coming up on the stream, but let's just see if you can
Yeah.
hear this now. I'll audition some drums here from you from this kit. You hearing that?
Uh-huh.
Nice heavy down tempo kick. Now this is the reason we were talking about how I've got the rolly blocks. Now that sounds pretty good on its own, doesn't it? That boom
Hmm.
boom boom. Well, it's got MPE, which is that MIDI like multi-point expression. Now, if I slide my finger while I play that, I can get that repeat. Dun, 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 dun.
Okay. Yeah,
And
man.
with some of these other ones here, with slide as well, we'll give some other effects like a reverb or a shimmer,
Ooh.
like
That
that.
kind of
And
gives you the whole kit within the one.
yeah,
At just
and
different points.
it does come a lot more from feel because then
Hmm.
you can hit and slide your finger and get a lot more out of a kit, so you don't have to go and add things in later.
Yeah, cool.
So what I was thinking is we might take that BPM down a little bit so we can really give those drums a chance to breathe. So
Yeah, yeah.
what's a good tempo for you? Is 72 not too slow for you?
Well, I think it might be pushing it a bit. Now it's quite south. I would say between that 85 to 90 is kind of that groove I quite like.
All right.
And it allows it to be quite spacey. Like if you've heard any like Jay Dilla beats, a lot of that like lo-fi tempo kind of vibe, low 80s. Let's sit somewhere between 80 and 85. I think that gives us room to move and make it a bit more amorphous.
All
Probably
right.
lend itself to a bit more of a freestyle kind of vibe.
All right. We'll put it on 84, and yeah, you'll have to run me through some of the big plays in that space, because
Sure.
you're the rap side of this rap rock duo. So we've
Absolutely,
got that
man.
going down here. Let's get these drums up again. Let's see. We lay down a bit of something. There was that kick again. Boom, boom, boom. Now let's see. We've got that, and snares are here. Let's start. Tell me how this. We'll do a bit of a simple 4 on the floor sound. Let's see how this sounds. That's a bit too. How's something like that sound? It's missing a bit of something, but maybe we can drop it in later.
Yeah. You can give it a bit more groove if you go like a boom boom cut boom cut boom boom cut.
Boom boom pop, boom boom pop, something like that. Okay.
That's it, and that's where the name boom bap even comes from. Boom boom bap.
Like that.
Oh yeah, now we cooking. Now we cooking.
Boom, boom. All right.
Hey, shout
I'll
out
try-
to Dave in the chat. Yep.
I'll try add a bit of flair to that as well while we're recording it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I got the overdub on. Let's see if I can slide my fingers around a bit and add a bit more of that feel to it. Let's let it start again. 1 and 2. One, two, three. Let's see what's doing here. Let's move this around a little bit. Boom, boom. Now, I know that we need a little bit extra something here. What do you think we should maybe lay it over the top?
In like the first and third iteration of these, in between, like halfway in between the double kick, put in a hat.
All
So
right,
it's like
let's.
boom to boom cut to boom boom cut boom to boom cut boom
All
boom
right, now
cut.
that's a ride. We're just having a look through here what we've got. Metal S, rattle, claps, closed. So that's
Okay, yeah, that's the sound.
all right. That. Let me get back over. Let's switch back again. All right, how's that sounding?
Yeah, I like it. The ride at the moment is we're riding too much.
Too much ride?
Yeah, just like at will take out whatever you please.
I might take out some of these doubled up. No, we sort of need those, don't we? Maybe take out the doubles.
Yeah.
If anything. Take them out where the snare is as well.
Yeah, let the snare breathe.
That sounded a bit better.
Yeah.
All right, now that's a track that's the program. What I'm going to look for here is over in these other drum kits we got. They usually have some samples, so let's see if we can get something through one of them. Let's see.
Yeah, man.
Ooh. bass there as well. Oh, that's maybe more of a resolve at the end.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that. That's the tinge.
All right. Now I'm liking the vibe of that. I might just program that in when I find it. So
Yep,
now one
yep.
thing I'm interested in is, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I listen to some of your music that you really you draw on a lot of your own heritage and your background in your raps, don't you? But can you
Yeah,
run me through a bit of that whilst I put this in?
yeah, absolutely, man. So yeah, for me, I think it didn't start out that way. Like I definitely came, I'm still a visitor and a tourist in the land and the world of hip hop, but music making and expressing myself and the thoughts that are really important to me um, became like it turned music into a necessity from just a hobby. But my when I initially got invited into a collective to kind of write some music, it was a bunch of other Pakistani Australians, and we were just hanging out. But what they were doing was what's hot right now. How do we kind of emulate that? We were doing covers, and we started writing originals. And my instinct initially was to just go, okay, give me something like trappy. Let me like go hard on the bars. Let me talk about partying and nightlife and all this kind of other stuff. And I made another couple tracks down that vein, so you can hear it on, like Kingdom or Rap Cannibal or Freezer, and I loved making those, and I still love those tracks. But I got some pretty good advice from the people around me that was like, "Hey, man, like, at what point are you injecting some of where you come from into your music?" And it's, in terms of what I wanted to ultimately be talking about, I kind of dream of like Kendrick esque talking about what's going on in society. I think it's really important to shout out and champion the heroes in our community that maybe aren't getting an opportunity. And I was really lucky last year. I was fortunate enough to be invited to participate in Salam Fest, which is a celebration of Islamic artists here in Melbourne, as well as around the world. And I was asked to perform, being a Pakistani Muslim, like being a somewhat a part of the community. And I kind of thought this is an opportunity for me to kind of champion that, to dig deep, and to kind of find those stories and find that music. And I realized it came relatively like quite easy to dig in and find it. Even rapping in my native language of Sindhi, it kind of became interesting to me. And then I performed, and it was an awesome performance. I was really blessed to share the stage with some pretty incredible other performers I've met along the way. And at the end of it, I had family members of mine and then other just members of the community come up and be like, "Thank you for doing that. I've never heard someone rap in Sindhi before. That was awesome for me to hear." And what really touched me was a lady came over with her two kids, and she was saying, "Thank you for doing this because my kids aren't used to seeing people that look like us or sound like us on stages or even on TV." And that really hit me because that was what my experience had been, 15 years ago when I was a kid, 25 years ago when I was a kid. I forget how old I am sometimes. But growing up and having that, I actually covered this in my Fringe Festival show, The Third Culture Kid, where, my role models were meant to be Apu and who else, right? And if that's all I can really relate to, that and a current affair, and all these like Crime Stoppers stories, I kind of go, okay, that wasn't healthy for me to grow up with, and I lost my sense of identity. But now I'm hearing from someone that repping my culture is actually helping these young people feel more at place here in Melbourne. And I kind of go, okay, that feels important, and it like it really touched me in like way deep in my heart, where I was like, cool, this is a sense of purpose that I was, driving and striving towards. So while it's not the entire crux or the mission of my music, to rep just my culture as I've grown up with, it's definitely something that I'm working through. And I guess this Fringe Festival show, the Third Culture Kid, that is very much that kind of ultimate celebration of that story. Putting that into my music, putting that into my acting and my poetry. So yeah, so it's something I grew up with, and I think the next experiment for me is working with producers who actually use those sounds and samples and make that kind of music kind of intrinsically. For me, it's still a degree of needing to seek it out And this is again where my limitations as a wannabe producer really like come to the fore, because I would love to be able to sample like Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, like Abida Parveen. Like you've got some champions, titan vocalists who are Pakistani legends, and their voices are instruments in and of themselves. So I'd love to be able to make music using their voices. I'd love to be able to make music using the instruments that I grew up hearing in the background but rejecting because I thought I needed to be an Aussie, not a Pakistani. So I think there's a journey still to go, but along the way I've been really blessed. I connected up with this band called Sikandar, who sort of born out of the production of Pradeep Sarkar, who's an Indian-born producer living here in Melbourne, and his musical colleagues, comrades, best mates, ride or die for life. These guys have an incredible band: Nifty Neil Cook, Jeremy the Mystic Malcolmson, and now recently joined by Shorav Bhattacharya and Ronan Shoshan as well, and making music that stems from those samples and those sounds. And actually, it was that collaboration, Third Culture, which is related very dearly to the Fringe show, The Third Culture Kid, that spawned this kind of process in me that I need to incorporate my culture and my heritage and what I've learnt from those things into my music.
Now that makes a lot of sense, and what you're talking about there with wanting to incorporate a lot more of samples from traditional singers and from your traditional culture. That's where rap rock history converges again. That reminds me of the band Sepultura. They were doing a lot to try and introduce traditional Brazilian style instruments and music into their songs. And if you listen to a lot of their 80s albums, that they do that, but it's very much a switch from one or the other, from the very Metallica-inspired metal to then suddenly snapping to the Brazilian music, where it was really around their biggest album, Roots, where the two were able to come together in a way that felt more cohesive. So it's definitely possible. And man, with the way that samplers are getting these days, that if you get a good couple of sounds from these singers, that you could quite literally just turn them into an instrument.
Yeah, exactly right. And nowadays with the technology that we have, you stretch, distort, play around. There's the possibilities.
That granular synthesis, that's how they do it these days. All right.
Man, I love your vocabulary. Granular synthesis. How gorgeous.
That's what it is. All right. Now let's play this again. I've clicked in a bit of MIDI, but let's see if I actually selected the right ones and if the timing is right here. So let's see how this comes across. That's not what we were after. That's a bass. Okay. These might need some moving down a little bit. Let's see if we go 1, 2, 3. That was one of the samples we were using before. All right. Now, what I think we might do is move that one up. That one can go down there. That one can go up too. And let's see if when it gets to this bar, if that's actually what we're after. That's very short. Okay, so maybe we need to move these across. It's almost going to have to be a bar. There's a little bit of a gap.
That's pretty cool though. It's got a good groove to it.
Let's just put it just on that side of the beat. Either you have that gap, or you get them. Oh yeah. So that feels a little bit too.
That's cool. No. I like that one.
You like that?
Yeah. Give that to me one more time.
All right. What I'll do is let's move that over, and we can move that across a little bit to put into context a bit more. So put that there, and then I reckon we'll probably have to do that once every 2 bars. Let's see how this sounds, taking it straight to back to the start. let's just try moving these back to there because I feel like that it's a little bit too close. Let's go from here. No, that's too far. Yeah, no, it has to be like sort of around there, doesn't
Yeah. So how it was before was cool, and then on say like the third one, let it skip. So then push it over, like nudge it over two spots. So the first two repeat exactly the same. The
it? Okay.
third one,
Yeah,
so
this one.
no, sorry. So that's good. So if we call each of these a bar,
Oh yeah.
each sort of three pairing, the third bar, the second note of it.
We want to get rid of that one.
No, not get rid. No, sorry. So go over two more notes. I'm just looking. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess if we've got sort of pairing. Yeah, there we go. That's the one.
Yep.
And we nudge that sort of two spots to the right. So
Like
then
that.
it skips. Yeah.
Ah. All right. I get you.
So yeah. So
Slight.
now we've got this like smooth groove for the first two, and then the third one skips and makes you think, hang on, what just happened? And then the beat like drops out as it does. So if you run this from the top, it should
All
have
right.
a nice flow to it. You feel me?
Yeah. No, it does feel good. It gives a little bit of something. I was just going to check here.
Yeah.
We had like a small like that. I was almost thinking of putting one of those
Hmm.
after these little tail parts. So I was thinking like this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, digging that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do the overdub. I reckon maybe do that every time or maybe half.
Half. Yeah, the back half is cool.
All right, we'll do it there as a bit of a lead in.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
next thing we'll do, we might add in some pads or something. But I was interested that so your Fringe show, it's more than just rap, isn't it? There's some spoken words, some poetry, a bit of acting. So what else are we going to see at the in your Third Culture Kid?
Yeah. So it's far and away the most ambitious project I've put together, probably in the span of my life. Um, and it is more or less the story I've wanted to tell anyone who's ever asked me, "Where are you from?" Um, because it can be such a loaded question, and not necessarily by the person asking, but when I receive that question, I'm like, do you want me to say Coburg North because that's where I live? Do you want me to say Glen Waverley because that's where I kind of spent my primary school years? Oh, you want me to say like the one that explains my skin color? Right. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's Pakistan. Um, what it is me expanding the song Third Culture, which was, an exercise in understanding for myself what's my story and how do I feel about that today, out into an hour. And it starts with, acting straight, like delivering monologues, storytelling. I envisioned it originally to be talking to an audience of, 15, 20 people a night, and engaging them in my story. And kind of at the start, it's very much about acting out moments from my childhood, like getting laughed at for having an accent. So I used to have like a very thick accent, and people would make fun of it because it sounds different, and they would say like, say this guy's name, or it's Will. Say this guy's name, or it's Tom. Say this guy's name, or it's Rudy. And so like reliving those moments with a degree of self-awareness, but kind of I'm trying to indulge my inner child because I feel like that kind of past I got bullied the crap out of. I got not convinced, but I convinced myself that I had to change my accent in order to fit in. So I like absorbed TV. I absorbed every accent, every voice, and took it all on. I was just like, if that's what they're going to make fun of me for, then I'm just going to change my voice, and then they can't make fun of me anymore. Um, and then and then I relived the experience of what happens after September 11. Every diaspora Muslim, every Muslim in the Western world suddenly became a target. We became emissaries for the Muslim world. We had to explain ourselves. I had to explain having a monobrow to kids. I had to explain that Osama bin Laden wasn't my uncle. um, and so reliving those kinds of stories through either acting them out or kind of putting it into a poem, and then getting to the point in my life, more or less where I'm at now, kind of catching up to the present moment, or at least sort of 5 years ago, where I moved to Vietnam. I came back and I'd become this sort of de-identified, de-individualized party animal. It was just like, this is where I fit in. Everyone goes out, everyone has fun, everyone does this, that, and the other, and I guess I'm like everyone else now. And I left that experience feeling incredibly hollow and worthless. I didn't know who I was. So after that is when, I had this pretty profound experience of Vipassana meditation, and going to Mecca with my family after that. And after that was when I kind of resolved, like, okay, making music is integral to me. Expressing myself through my words, through, the medium of music that has defined my life, has allowed me to connect to other people in so many different ways. That is how I build myself up again, reconciling all of the culture and all of the identity that I had felt the need to reject previously. So, I've put a lot of time, and especially a lot of expression and feeling into this, to bring this story to life. And yeah, and there were certain moments where it's just like, you know what? Actually, like, there's no way I can story tell this. I need to write a poem to describe what it's like being 14 years old and being bullied for being a Muslim, for in a 9/11, post 9/11 sort of landscape. Um, and yeah, it feels, at the end of it, I feel cathartic as all hell. And yeah, and people can expect quite a wild ride of emotion. It felt pretty powerful to get to deliver it to a room full of friends and film crew, and to hear back that it stirred something within the people there. And yeah, I'm really excited to kind of have that unfold for people across 5 nights next week.
And it's one of those things where that'd be hard for me to be able to relate to it because I don't know if you can tell, but I'm like exceptionally white. Like I'm very Caucasian. I am half Italian, but they work very hard to get themselves elevated up to the status of white, so they don't count anymore. And it'd be one of those things of that you have people making fun of you for things where you're like, that's just who I am. Like you're not trying to do anything. They're just making fun of like your voice or how you look, and it's something that you can't help. So yeah, I think that's the sort of thing that needs to be explored, especially for all those painfully Caucasian people like myself out there.
Absolutely, man. And I think the silver lining that I want everyone to take away is this is very much not an angst piece. This is not, hey, white people, you ruined my childhood. It's, hey, anyone that feels dysphoria, anyone that feels like they don't belong in the place that they're in by external circumstances, by an internal struggle, you very much do belong here, and your place is exactly where you are. What I want everyone to feel, and what I've come to realize in myself is that has to start from within. There is no magic bullet. There's no somebody out there who's going to make you feel like you're welcome here. Like, me saying it is probably going to ring deaf on so many people, and I totally appreciate that. No one can tell you that this is your place or this is not your place. But once you start shaping that for yourself and you start making your own version of culture, your own version of identity, that's when you'll start to see things align for you in that way. So for me, that was very much deciding, like, yeah, cool, this is exactly how Muslim I am, and the rest of it is up to me and God. No one around me on earth can judge me for, like, how I choose to execute on that identity. Same goes for how much I do or don't fit in. Same goes for my musical expression. And the more confident I became in that sense of self, the more I found myself connected with opportunities to further that exact identity. Um, so yeah, so regardless of your skin color, regardless of how much you think you're supposed to belong in places, you are unique and you are different. and reconciling and celebrating that, I think, is the key that I want people to take away from this. So, yeah, I hope no one goes into it or comes out of it feeling guilty about anything, except maybe the kids who bullied me on the playground. But like, even them, I forgive you. You didn't know what was up. And as I've kind of come to realize, like, people that are bullying are actually desperately trying to fit in the most. Um,
Yeah.
they they are just, there is a turmoil in there. Like, there were years that I was a bully, for no other reason than the fact that I just wanted other people around me to hurt and feel as upset as I did. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of my main takeaway. Like, this show is very much for everyone, regardless of race, religion, creed, skin color.
Yeah, and look, there's something that's you've brought up a couple of times with that I want to touch on soon, which is how religion influences your work and identity. But first, let's lay down some pads here, and then
Let's do it.
we can talk about that. Now, I was thinking we kind of have two different options for how we can take pads. I'm just going to see what happens when I press the squares assigned here. I've got these set to chords already, so that's a nice suspended fourth there. That I figured we had a bit of a minor feel already, so I set it to C minor for the key.
Hmm.
Now we've got that. We can do nice sustained ones with more bottom end. Like, oh, that's maybe a bit too low.
Hmm.
All right, that's what it was before. Or if we go up maybe an octave or two, we turn on the up. Let's just see how this goes, because I haven't figured out how to actually slow down the sequence of this. So let's just see what this sounds like. Oh, that's very, very 80s, isn't it?
Very 80s, yeah, absolutely, man. This is turning into Stranger Things.
Oh, if you want to go full Stranger Things, let me add the octave there as well.
I wonder if I'm curious to see how this component would play in the rest of the composition, though.
This would,
I like what we have. Yeah.
yeah, that up high. We could turn the volume down a little bit, and then that sort of just kind of sits just peeking over the top.
Mm-hmm,
And I mean, we can always just play it and see how this goes.
Oh, yeah. No, I hear it now.
That's barely cut through, isn't it? Let's try this one. This might be, if we're going to put this down somewhere, we might have to separate out the those samples and do parts with just drums in this, and then some other parts with just those samples we put down. So maybe,
Yeah, some variation. Yep.
maybe instead we can play around that a bit more. Let's go to bass. Why have I got studio drums there? I thought I wrote that down. Unless that's because I had it set up before. Let's just switch this plug-in. Let's see something. Bass line. Yep, assign. All right, what do we got here? Oh. Do I still have ARP on? Is that what that's doing? Yep. All right, now let's see what we can do here. Let me turn that down. Still got that on the octave up. We can definitely do something with that. I might just twiddle these knobs a little bit, but yeah, I remember listening to one of your songs, and at the end, that you mentioned that you wanted to hear from people about how religion has influenced them, and I get the feeling that for you, religion in your work is a lot more integral rather than, say, someone like Kendrick Lamar, who draws a lot from the Bible, but I feel like that's almost more in an analogous sense, where I feel like the religion plays a much more significant part of your life. So, yeah, if you want to expand on that, how you incorporate religion into your work and how that's influenced you.
It's funny. I think for me, religion, my relationship with God and the divine is a lot closer to the sort of Sufi mysticism than it is to kind of orthodox versions or quite, I guess what I see is like quite dogmatic expressions of religion. I think I'm very much a spirit of the law rather than a letter of the law type of guy. And I think that that translates into religion. I've had some pretty heated, conversations with people in my life about what that means and what is the concept of pleasing God. But ultimately, like I'm drawn to music and to ideas around mysticism that are very much about living and appreciating and seeking out God in all the small things and in everything. Like God is in every single one of us, is in everything that is around us. So for me, I might express so on something like Detour, which I recently released, that is very much the crux of it. Is like I have wandered and strayed and gone over the path here, there, and everywhere, and yet everything brings me back to God. No matter if it's the most sinful thing in the world or the most blessed moment, so while I don't inject mentions or references to God in a lot of my music, I'd like to think that that sort of mysticism, that appreciation for a grand observer at the bare minimum, I think, I find it difficult to like relate to people who just assume that this is a cold, dead, empty universe with nothing that even just neutrally observes. And that for you that could be the quantum theory of like physics. That's totally fine. It's just a sense that there needs to be something greater than us, because I think that that keeps us humble. I think that that keeps us on track. It keeps us motivated, and it's especially true when it's used to remind oneself. For me, it is when I remind myself that I am small, that I am a fleeting phenomena in this universe of infinitely large things. And so for me, it's ultimately like, okay, we're here for a short time. What is the best that we can make of ourselves for it? What is the best that we can make of our time of it? And what is the best that we can do for the people around us? And to me, that is all the directive, or all the sort of direction given by God. So yeah, absolutely that. I want to know how other people relate to God, because I'm on this constant quest for how do I let that force, that divinity, kind of be channeled through me more sharply, more acutely, um, and just seeing how other people do it helps me in a lot of ways. But I think what I really respect and admire about the likes of Kendrick, he very much goes, there is a story given to us in the Bible of Jonah, right? And so then his album Damn is very much an exploration of Jonah's story of damnation, or at least with major references. Or um, To Pimp a Butterfly's, there's this great podcast called Dissect, and he really kind of
Yeah,
does
I've
this
listened
full.
to a couple of
Oh
the
yeah,
Damn episodes.
yeah, it's phenomenal, right? And the way he explores that relationship. So yeah, so Kendrick, as you said, he draws on analogies to describe and illustrate his world to a passive observer. And yeah, for a lot of people in various communities, relationship with God is kind of the only unifying force in an otherwise very chaotic and very disparate community. And so I definitely see why he draws on those stories, because it's a common language, it's a common history that people have, even if they've never met, even if they're not, geographically different. Um, so yeah, so long-winded, I realize, but yeah, that's sort of my relationship, and how I choose to relate God to my music, and I think I'd like to explore it more, but for now, it's limited and more in a sort of notional or spiritual sense.
Yeah, that is sort of like whatever you believe in, that it serves as a guiding principles that should help you dictate your life into more or less to be a good person. That
Hmm.
one
Nice.
interesting thing that I noticed, I watched, there was this documentary that you can find on YouTube called The Burning Hell, and it's one of those like those old like so bad it's good style things, and it was this like almost hour like feature length thing made by this evangelical preacher back in like the 80s. And one thing that
Hmm.
I noticed about it is it's called The Burning Hell because it's almost all about just how bad and scary hell is, and how if you do bad things you'll go to hell. But there was absolutely nothing in it about how to be a good person and what that looks like.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's where religion gets some of its bad rap these days. It's almost more used as a means to shame people and try and impose what you think is right on them, rather than people using it as guiding principles on how to be good themselves.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. My philosophy is very much that anyone who's trying to guide me through a fear of hell is not useful energy for me. I don't find it to be helpful. I'm very much about like don't even worry about hell when there's heaven. And I as a kid I remember researching this German artist Friedensreich Hundertwasser, and I can't for the life of me find this quote anymore, and I'm dying to find it. But it's this idea that heaven isn't some metaphorical, abstract existence well above and beyond our comprehension. Heaven is a state of peace and unity that we can achieve on this earth in this lifetime. And I think striving for that and failing is infinitely better than sitting on your hands until the day you die for fear of committing sin and going to hell. I would rather try and fail to get into heaven than do nothing to avoid hell.
Yeah, no, and I think that is a very much a good way to approach things. That yeah, it's one of those things that even if you have lofty goals and even if you don't achieve them, it's better to try and fall short than to have done nothing at all out of fear of making things worse.
Spot on, man. Spot on.
All
But
right.
we started out with a lofty goal to make a banger of a track, and I feel like we're super close to actually achieving it.
We are getting there. So decided to switch over to the bass line. Now I tweaked with
Hmm.
things a little bit. Let's see how this sounds. Now, let's see if we can actually do something with that. I've brought
Uh-huh.
up this larger view so I can see what we've got for the drums down here. And what
Hmm.
I'm hoping is that with that I can maybe do a bass line that will match up with what we've got in the drums a little bit more. So let's
Cool.
try that. Maybe I might even okay, there is the shinies. I might even mute those just to give us a little bit more space for the drums so we can focus on the two of them. Now let's just see. What is going on there? Rolly bass line. I think that one's accidentally what happened there? Did I switch the bass line plug into that one? Well, let's go back to main view. Bass line. There's nothing plugged in there. All right. To Rolly. Bassline, that is bassline. All right, let's just put this back to Rolly Studio Drums. Assign. That did sound pretty interesting though, didn't it?
Yeah.
All right, let's just see. All right, we got that. Now let's try not to lose that as we go to bass. Here we go. Switch it over to a different one. Plectrum bass. That might even work a bit better. All right, now let's see if we. Let's just check the octaves. Yeah, I think what we had before was a little bit too low. Let's see. I feel like I'm getting a little bit too busy with it. We need to.
Yeah, but that last scale that you were in was really cool.
Yeah, that was playing off the minor, so the flat third a bit more.
Yeah, I'd know that around for it.
Something like that.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's hit on overdub. One. over. That's another thing I need to work on with all this digital stuff is my timing. Used to being a lot more free flowing with things.
Oh, absolutely, man.
And then we'll take that there. All right, let's see how this all sounds together in context. Because, sometimes you record something and the quantize just throws it all off completely.
Oh, tell me about it, man. I had to stop relying on quantize even though my natural timing is trash. That's cool. That's a cool vibe. Also, right. Tom.
Yeah.
I don't mean to put you on the spot host-wise, but I realize you have a job interview you need to be at soon.
I definitely do. Fortunately, it's all online, so it's just switching out the robe for the sweater. So fortunately, changeover isn't too bad. But let's just we'll keep that in mind. But let's see if I take the mute off here, how this all sounds put together. Yeah, it's a bit minor, whereas this is a bit more.
Are they in the same key though? I feel like the might be. So yeah, what are the synths in? You said E minor before.
Yeah, that's what I've played it in. So let's see. Maybe if we just move things up to. This is definitely the E flat. Let's see if we move all the E flats up. Isn't it?
Yeah. It's on the same.
Let's see.
That's cool.
Oh no, now it's just sounding worse.
We had it in there. There was definitely a spot for a second where it sat right.
Making stuff's hard, isn't it?
Oh man, who'd have thunk it?
Let's just try here again. The F. No, that ain't it. Let's just let's mute this again. Let's try going back to those pads. There we go. What we'll just quickly do is we'll take it back to the start. We might even, if we got those muted, we could. Put these back in the original C, and then we can always do pads and everything around that. And at least those are all sustained, so it's quite easy to lay that down. So let's just get that back. Oh. See, this is part of the problem I have. I'm trying to just lay down things, and I swear it's the program's fault.
Absolutely.
I know what I have in mind. All right, now we got.
You need what's it called? Elon Musk's neural kit.
Yeah, I need a bit of a
Neuralink. Yeah.
a bit of something like that where I can just execute from thought into a timeline.
Oh man, not long now.
All right.
I think the hardest part with that is always going to be how do you filter? Like some people. I think there are many more people out there way more focused than I am. But nevertheless, like your phone rings while you're recording and suddenly you're like, I wonder what that looks like as a waveform.
Yeah, and it's
Would
like,
be fascinating.
would you distinguish between conscious thought and lizard brain? The,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
how do you distinguish the actual melody with everything else that's going on in that 3 pounds of blood-soaked sponge we've got rattling around up in our skulls? All right, let's quickly put down a little bit of just some pads here, and I'll use the squares here. These have already got the scale mapped out, so we can do this real quick. That's something we could always click and drag that around a little bit, but that's
Absolutely.
that's definitely something there.
Gives us a vibe.
Now I had it still set to. That's where it sounded a little bit weird. Still had it set to the fourth. So let's just. Yep. Do those. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Pew pew. Pew pew. Pew pew. Nope. All right, let's just play that back. That should kind of be there we go. That's more your regular scale. That sounded a little bit smoother too. That's a bit more of the dark vibes we're going for. All right, and that's unfortunate that I was hoping that this even has like a notes section here. Where is it? I was hoping we'd be able to get to some lyrics, that we could be like. Why does it keep doing this? I was hoping we'd be able to put down some lyrics as well. But yeah.
Well, yeah. So I've been scribbling something on the side here. So if you want to let it run, I can lay something down. It'll be a little bit offset with the lag, but hey, let's
it'll put some swing to it. All right.
A little bit of swinging on it.
All right, and you want to go just as we've got here with just the dark pads and the bass line?
Yeah, man, as it is. Let's work with it.
All right.
As we have it.
3, 2, 1.
We do it on the fly. Bruiser and Emkew running sly on the live, getting by, swinging on the beat like a hinge. We doing it for fringe, arts and culture. We make it look a cinch, easy peasy. Tuesdays are breezy. Choose which way to see these streamers rolling freely. We got that granular synthesis, musical hindrances on softwares like that roly poly oly. We climbing moly, holy moly smokes like Angelina Jolie. Brad Pitt, I can't stand it, so I got these hat racks and flat packs. You know that with bandit, yeah, like bandits. This bandwidth is cracking on this music. You know that I'm rapping, and now I'm running out of time on these bars. So if I gotta say it, I'll see you, old Jafar.
Look at that. Everything just came perfectly together. What a moment in rap rock history. I got to say that I'm feeling a lot like Timberland right now, and Emkew, you are my Missy Elliott. And
absolutely.
Right here, this is our super duper fly.
Oh yeah, man. We
so
done good.
Yeah, tying back to that where can people find you for Fringe?
Yeah, man. So obviously straight on the Fringe portal, hit us up. Look up the Third Culture Kid. But anyone that's watching this right now, I'll drop a little thing in the comments or in the video description. Hit me up on Instagram. My link is always live and hosted there to go check out the Third Culture Kid. And yeah, Emkew spelled Emkew is the way to go.
All right. And what we'll round this out with is, let me just see if I can get my window capture to do what I want to here. That you sent me a music video. Yeah, that's playing nice. So we'll round out with this one here, and then we might. Error occurred. All right, we'll see if we can get this working. Video dictionary, YouTube dictionary. No, we seem to be having a little bit of. Let me just see. Here we go. No. Sorry, I'm getting errors on the videos. But that's dropping later this week, isn't it?
That's right. So this Friday I'll be dropping this. This is the music video for my single Third Culture, which is the hero track from the Third Culture Kid. And it's basically just a behind-the-scenes celebration of the show. I quickly want to shout out the incredible team I've had to work with on this. From Alex, my DJ, producer, manager, Georgia, an incredible director. I've got David, who's done an incredible job in terms of vision and cameras. Ursh Chaudhry, who's done a fantastic job in terms of lighting. But none of that could have been possible. The whole thing was kicked off thanks to JMC Academy playing host for a Fringe Festival show, prompting me, Amy Wright over there and the entire team of students and staff who have helped put this production together. I'm beyond words amazed at how incredible this story idea I had 3 months ago now looks on the screen. So people can check that out. The music video is dropping this Friday. It'll be live on my YouTube channel, Emkew. And you'll be able to see, a glimpse into what you'll be catching next week when you go to check out the Third Culture Kid for the Fringe Festival.
So that everyone should get on Fringe, check out Third Culture Kid, and then come back to YouTube later in the week. Get onto your YouTube channel there. Just look up MC Emkew, and I'm sure they'll find it, and they can check out that video. So, thanks so much for joining me here on stream. If you want, I can export the masters for this track we worked on, and I'll be generous with my royalties on the next album.
So will I, my man.
All right.
Absolutely. Tom, thank you so much for having me, mate. An absolute pleasure. We out.
Thank you. I'll see you later.
See you later, mate.